So today I'm going to walk you through how I create my workflows. And whenever I do a workflow, it is important to reverse engineer it. So what that means is that in the end, what I want to do is I want to enter my client. I want to have my contract ready. And then when I basically onboard them, I just have to say send contract, send invoice, and send intake questionnaire. Now, in order to do that, you need to have these pieces ready. So you actually reverse engineer it. So you first organize the pieces, then you do the workflow. So the first thing I want to do is actually to make sure that every time they get that, they get an email. So first I want to make sure that I have my pieces ready. And in order to do that, you go to templates here. And this is where you have all the different forms and all that good stuff. So I've already done some of it. My questionnaire is done. So if you want to, we can have a look at what that looks like. So basically, this is what it looks like. It has the client intake questionnaire, it has a name, and then all the questions that I set up with the drag and drop. Right. So now, for this, I don't want to save anything. I'm going to add my one-on-one contract. And the way I do that is I used the contract that was in here that required double signed. So it was a template that was in here and I basically changed it and I saved it under this contract here, which was basically a promotion that we had. So here's what I do. So this is called my Sleep Like a Boss contract. And I need them at different price points. So let's say the cheapest one for me is 7,000 when they pay in full. So that's it. And then you have the contact information. The reason why this is important is because you want to have that populate immediately into your contract later on. So then I need the initials, and this is where the tags come in. So let me show you how to do this. So basically the way that this contract is built is that, let me show you. Here it is in my first like the regular shape that I have, which is basically a Word document. So this is what I've got from my lawyer, and this is what it looks like. Right. So you have first a quick introduction to what it is, and then they sign, and then you have service terms. And then in the end, you have the schedule for the services. And as you can see, everything that's highlighted is where we need to have a populated area, which is where they need to do it. So in order to avoid having to then go in a Word document, then print it and sign it and scan it to send it back, I do all of this automatically in Dubsado. So what is interesting is that these highlighted fields will basically be pre-populated afterwards. So how do I do that? It's pretty simple. What I did is when you click on a text field, then you can basically write anything in there. And what I did is I went into my Word document and I copy pasted the first part of the document. And as you can see here, I need the client name. This field here is basically taking the information out of what they filled in. And what you do is you just use a smart field and you will go to client and require their full name, and it will auto-populate with first name and last name. And you can also use their email. You can use their address, I think is somewhere here. If you scroll down, there you go. So this is really important because it saves you tons of time. The other link that is important to use is the date. And as you can see, I haven't used it. Oh, sorry. You have to scroll all the way down to close it. I actually have the date here, auto-populating when they sign. So here as well, I entered a little text box and I typed in just as I had it in my contract, or you can use the example that Dubsado has for you. Again, you just have the client name pre-populating. Then I have my text. And if you remember at the end, before the schedule, we had another incident that was here, if we go to the schedule, that was in yellow. So between me and then the participant name. So I edited that again in a second box. So I added a huge second box, so I copy pasted that in. And there you go. I just used a smart field again. So here, basically, I need to change the pricing. So the total fee is not 3,500, but it's 7,000. And I will basically duplicate this. And I will show you how. 7,000. Close. And then I need to save this puppy. Save. There we go. So if I want to duplicate it, I want to save and close this. This is what I do. I just click on this little box here and it's duplicated. So why would I do that? Well, I have payment plans, right? So if they decide to do payment plans, it's more expensive. It's 7,500. All the rest is the same. But what I will change is at the bottom is the payment schedule. Total fee, and we go here, is in that case 7,500 in installments as the following. And I always get this wrong. One deposit of 1,500. And then 3 times 2,000 in monthly. That's the following. So then I have that here. And then again, we just go up, title is correct, and we save and close. And then I can just duplicate this. So the contract is ready and I know exactly which fee I want for this. Then next we have the intake questionnaire. One thing that I also want to do is I want to have the emails ready. So you go to canned emails and here's what I did. And this is a little extra. Let's say I want to send them, let me see. I added a signature to all my email. If you don't do it, it has just thanks and your regular kind of thing, which I don't really like. So what I added is I added my signature here, and you can get that through a page that's called Stamp. Here it is, Stamp. And I got mine through a lifetime deal through AppSumo. So if you don't know AppSumo, check it out. So this is my signature here. And I basically copy pasted it and then I put it in here into Dubsado. And these slides, they will not come up once you see the email going out. But I would highly recommend that you do that. It just looks a lot nicer. And unfortunately, when you send out the payment and the contract, here it is actually. Then it goes in automatically. But what is interesting is they are actually saying the full name here, which I don't like. So I edited that because I don't want to say, hi, Christine Hansen. It just sounds really weird. I just want the first name to be in there. So that's what I changed. It's not automatically done. And that way everything is scheduled out automatically. So the canned emails, I find it quite important that you actually customize those for your clients. And I think that's everything. We have the onboarding one. Yeah, the questionnaire, and I changed it to client first name here, and then the portal, because that's basically what I did. So complete the questionnaire, and then I added that in here. All right. So the form link, again, it's a smart field, and you can just go to form and then link And then that's it, Ooh. So that was pretty easy to do, actually. Because you tell them when you set them up. So that's what I did. But the only thing is change this thing here. Otherwise, it's just weird. Okay, so we have our questionnaire, we have our contract ready, and that's everything we need. So now let's go to the workflow. And so we have those here, and this is where, the last thing that we need to do is payment, but I usually do that manually, which I could obviously change, but for me, it's easier this way. So here is a workflow that's typical when I have an onboarding one. So here's what I do. I first send them the contract and the invoice, and then I send them the intake questionnaire. Actually, this I'm going to change because I want to use a different timer. So let me add a workflow for you to show you what it is. So it is a slab workflow, and it's for the 7,500. Actually, it doesn't matter which one it is because it will automatically, it's the same workflow whether they pay 7,000 or whether they pay 3,500. I will just set this up for you to see what I do. So the first thing that they usually do is a payment schedule. I'm not doing that for now. I'm going to do and just go to view to workflow. Oh no, hang on, that was not the right thing. So for me, if they pay in installments, it is a little bit more tricky, but I will show you how to do it. So the first one is I do a pay in full first, right? If you only do that, that's all you have to do. Then I will add an action. Actually, let me just put that out. So I start with an action. Let's start that first, actually. Before I send any payment action, I leave this blank. So just to repeat, sorry. You leave this blank and you go straight to add an action. So what I first want to do is I send them an email because I want to send them an invoice and their contract. So, and I do that not 0 days. I do that immediately after project started, after workflow started. So basically what I do is I enter them into Dubsado and then I manually hit the workflow button, and that's all I have to do. So after workflow start, and then I send them the welcome, the contract email. There you go. And you remember I customized this. There you go. Hi, first name, and then it will send you them all of that. So apply. Then I add an action because I need the intake questionnaire. So it's another email, but I only want to do that after the contract has been signed by the client, because I only want to have them get things after they do their homework, so to say. So after they sign, I will send them their welcome and onboarding email, which includes the questionnaire. So here's the questionnaire, and then they get the information for their portal. Apply. And that's basically it. After that, I have all the information that I need. So that's it. Now I will show you what I do for the invoice, because that's a little bit different. So let me show you how that works. First, I want to show the workflow. Oh God, hang on. Yeah, I think that's it actually. Okay. So now if we go to template, let me just check that it's there. Yeah, and everything is fine. Good. So now what happens is when I have a client, And let me just add one to test this with you. Test client. So I need to create a new client. So actually I can use myself as a test. Test client. So all of that is there. When it's a client, I say it's a job. Tag, sleep client. That would be it. Create the project. Okay, so let's see where, here it is. So what you need to do is then pick the contract. And if you remember, we set it up here. You will find it here. So make sure you label it correctly. And then all you do is you add it and then close this. Then you also want to go and add the forms. The forms is the intake questionnaire. Add, close this. You want to add the workflow. The workflow that we use is 7,500. And there you see, this is all happening. Now, apply basically means start. So we don't want to do that yet. We first want to create the invoice. So the invoices, you can save them, but I usually do them manually. So this is where I would describe what it is, content. And then if I have, for example, a deposit or a pay in full, this is all you do. It's say just $500 and then that would be it. You add the item and then the payment schedule is, you can say pay in full. But under the payment schedules, and you just create a payment schedule, and I call this recurring 2000. And then this is what you do. You just say, okay, after the contract has been signed, they immediately get the invoice for the deposit. And then on top of that, you add a recurring payment, and it's just 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days. And there you have it split up. Actually, that's how I did it. Apologies. The step before was not correct. So what we do, if we go back to our projects, here we go. Then you just add the item and you just add the recurring 2000. That's it. Here, you just add that one to this one. Okay, so that's all you do. So you take one and then you add, you take the deposit, and that one you want to do immediately. You want to have it 2 days after, and you want to have the reminders. That's basically all you do. And then you've got everything. So when you're done with that, you go to your workflow and you apply. And it will send everything out. Sorry, so you select, you apply, and it will start the whole process. I hope this was a little bit helpful.